many times we're so busy and we kind of are stuck in our own heads in whatever the thing that we're navigating through at the moment, whether it's a relationship challenge, whether it's a personal challenge, whether it's a transition, a move, a loss in life. And you all know, those avid followers and listeners for a very long time, that I'm not immune to a lot of those things because I've experienced all of that. But what I have gathered now in this season and stage of life in motherhood, it's given me vocabulary to have the compassion and the breadth and the depth of being able to emotionally stretch my capacity to feel. And it's only because I allowed myself to break down. I allowed myself to break down after my divorce, after, thinking I had to have it all together because I was a perfectionist and I was like, oh my God, and I was a young leader. I was barely 30 when I made when I had my $1 million practice. And I was so afraid and so ashamed of what people would think if they knew I was getting out of this divorce, if they knew I was in this toxic relationship, right? And so I feel like for a lot of us, we tend to hide and we have so much shame around it. But the beauty is that shortly after that, I basically allowed myself to break. I allowed myself to break down. I allowed myself to be seen, meaning that I let the tears fall. I let the howling begin. I let the dry heaving begin sometimes. And that allowed for full breakthrough. That allowed for the next evolution of what was to come, which was then honoring my own sovereignty, honoring my own leadership. And sovereignty is a buzzword, but really it's your own agency in how you want to show up in the world. And I think that, for a lot of us, we weren't given the tools when we were young. So we try to suppress. Like for myself, I kept suppressing all the feelings because I thought I would be judged in all the ways. Who is this broken girl? Like that was the story that I made up in my mind. And so combination of all of that, I was able to feel the feels in such a way where then when I got into the chaos of motherhood, the chaos of things not going right, the chaos of, kids aren't sleeping or baby isn't sleeping or she's not latching or whatever the thing was at the time, that spearheads you into immense personal growth and immense emotional growth and emotional stretching. And when you actually can sit in that and not break down, but if you have to break down, I mean, it's always an indication that something better is coming, that there is an integration piece, that whatever needed to be healed is allowing itself to make its way up, make its way out because it had been suppressed for so long, right? Just imagine that tea kettle that's left on the stove for a really long time. Well, it's going to blow, but it's going to make that, a tapping sound because that metal piece is going to keep coming up. And it's just going to keep going until you turn down the heat, right? Or you turn off the stove and you move the kettle. Well, in the same instance, if we're constantly suppressing, putting it back in the closet, putting it under a rug, shoving all the things under a rug, shoving all of the feelings and saying, I got this, or I'm going to move through this. And it doesn't faze me. Well, we can only talk and fake it until we make it for so long, until those feelings catch up with us or those feelings turn into case of other people or circumstances or instances in our life that keep showing us and showing up that, hey, we have to pay attention. We have to turn the heat off. We have to move the kettle so that we can allow ourselves to release. And sometimes you have to open up that metal piece, right? So that all of that steam can release, that all of the waterworks, all of the rage and the anger and all of the other feelings that you were told were not okay growing up. Like I remember family members saying to me after all of my losses, okay, you've got this. You're so strong. You have to be strong for your family. And so there I was, super strong, and not even right, like wanting to shed a tear or wanting to hold back so much because I'm like, I'm supposed to be this way. And then eventually, almost a decade later, it would completely unleash itself in the way of basically coming down to my knees and saying, how did I get here? And that unraveling took a journey of about an entire year of enrolling with coaches and healers and therapists and talk therapy and different modalities of healing and body work and energetics, and to arrive at a place of, okay, home back to yourself.
See you next time at the Brave Table.